Welcome everybody to the closing bell here at MarketStream.live. My name is Joseph Cusick from the Cusick Group, securities offered by MoneyBlock. Well, this is the last day of new records again. The stock market again hit another milestone, fifth consecutive day that we've advanced with the Dow setting a new record, closes up at 19,615, up 0.3%. You have the Nasdaq closing up at 5417, up 0.4%. You have the S&P 500 up at 2246.19, up 0.2%. Now the action did happen on mixed volume. In New York, it was a little bit lighter than an average. I mean, we're talking a couple 100,000 shares off its average of 997 million. The Nasdaq did come up higher on the volume side at 2.2 billion. That's above its 1.9 billion average. We did have advancers outpacing decliners as well as new highs outpacing new lows. So where did we see all of this relative strength today? Well, we saw a lot in some commodities and some ones that we haven't been talking about in a while. The most notable, nat gas. I live in the Midwest, it's been getting colder, and we saw nat gas actually pop up today. UNG was up 4.22%. That's the ETF that tracks the nat gas product. We also saw rare earth metals on the move. You can take a look at ETF REMX up 2.38%. We also did see some foreign country ETFs moving to the upside. We talk about those in the overnight action report that we do at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, so join us tomorrow morning. We saw the Russian ETF, RSX, up about 2.1%. There's a lot of discussion about whether or not they're actually going to be participating in the OPEC agreement that they were part of as far as capping their oil production, because I'll tell you right now, the numbers that I'm seeing as far as production in November have been off the charts. So I don't think they're abiding by their agreement. We also saw some shipping names. You can take a look at ETF SEA, up about 1.9%. Home construction was up, which was incredible because we saw that actual interest rates, both here in the United States and globally, are to the upside. ITB was up 1.87% today. We also saw oil. Oil was firming up today. It actually finished right off its best levels. USO is the ETF that tracks oil. Had some strength, up 1.84%. We also saw India, Mexico, and we saw retail. XRT is the ETF, all up between basically 1.73% and 1.25% respectively. Now, was everything up? No. There was some weakness. As a matter of fact, we saw some weakness in some of the softs. What do I mean by softs? Cocoa. You can take a look at NIB. That's an ETF to track it. It was down almost 3% at 2.92%. You saw sugar was down today. SGG was down about 1.2%. You also saw the grains and that complex down. JJG is an ETF that will track the grains, you know, the corns, the wheats, the rice, and so forth. It was down about 1.2%. And you also saw that bond prices were down today. TLT was down 1.1%. And we also saw some weakness in Hong Kong, France, and in the currency Swiss franc. You can take a look at FXF. We will be talking about Hong Kong and France in the overnight action report at 8:30 Eastern time tomorrow. But those were both down. We're seeing some pressure there as well. Now, the financial sector, again, was benefiting from what I just said. Bond prices going down. That means yields are going up. The sector on a whole was up about 0.9%, and they continue this torrid pace to the upside. Now, this is giving me a little bit of a brief pause here, folks, on the financials. While it's extending its 4.7% pop to the upside this week, and putting this group well ahead of its offensive peers, I think you really have to be careful here, especially in some select names that are getting to levels that we have never seen before. This is also happening on the back of a steepening yield curve. What do I mean? If you look at the difference between the 2-year and the 10-year, that spread has come to 130 basis points, the difference between where the 2-year yield is and the 10-year yield. Why is that important? Well, that's basically telling you that when you look at the longer end of the yield curve, prices are coming down faster than the shorter end. That means that the yields are going up faster in the long end of the curve than they are in the short end of the curve at this juncture. We saw that the 2-year yield was at 1.1%. So basically it was flat today as far as yield. But we saw that the 10-year yield popped up 5 basis points to 2.4%. We're going to watch this very closely. This is a benefit for financials, but it could start hitting other sectors. Other growth-sensitive sectors like energy, as I said, with crude oil finishing off of its best levels today, just a little bit, but the energy sector in general was up about 0.5%. We also saw that the material sector was up about 0.7% today, and that was outperforming all day long. But you know, right now the energy sector just couldn't keep pace with oil. Oil was up 2%, finished above $50 a barrel. Again, we're going to watch this very closely. I think there is some volatility that you're going to see in the crude contract, especially with the fact that I don't believe that the OPEC nations are going to be adhering to their agreements, but we'll have to wait and see. The consumer discretionary space was on the move. We had mentioned this morning some of the biggest movers were Taylor Brands, TLRD, up $7.51, as well as Lululemon, LULU. They were both up pretty significantly post some great guidance and earnings. So we'll see how that continues with the space. We also saw that Costco posted a nice gain of $3.74. Again, showed on their quarterly report an increase in membership fees. I just paid mine. So we see that that continues, and we'll again watch that very, very closely going into the close. And then finally, you know, with this day wrapping up, we want to take a look at some other action, and most specifically some of the names that we talked about in the counter-cyclical area. These are areas like healthcare. They actually flashed some upside. Maybe they're moving up in spite of the fact that we have rates and some uncertainty about where, you know, for example, the Trump administration is going to come in on pricing for drugs. The healthcare sector was up 0.2%. In spite of the fact that utilities moved in spite of the fact that, Treasuries moved to the upside as far as yield, utilities were up 0.3%. And we also saw that real estate, as I had mentioned with the home builders and construction, they were up to the upside in spite of the fact that we're looking at rates going up. You know, we're going to have the December 13th meeting next week with the Fed. There's over a 95% probability that they're going to raise rates in that meeting. We're seeing it, folks, but all boats are basically lifting with the tide at this juncture. A couple other notables that I want to put out there. In Tech Talk, we did discuss some stocks that were having earnings this afternoon. As a matter of fact, I wanted to take Restoration Hardware. Restoration Hardware right now is down 14%, down about $5.79. The options were forecasting a potential for the stock to move either up or down into this event, about $5. It's down $5.94 at $33, so it just moved outside of its estimated move calculation. Pretty interesting, disappointing earnings there at Restoration Hardware. Also, start watching its peers, Williams-Sonoma, Bed Bath & Beyond. They have already started to drop in sympathy with Restoration Hardware. FinSAR. We were discussing FinSAR, ticker symbol FNSR. Looked at it in Tech Talk at 3:30 Eastern Time, right before we came on. Stock's up 10%, up 313. The options were pricing the potential for this stock to move either up or down, $3.88. So we're right within that range of the move. We also had Broadcom. Broadcom reported some pretty solid earnings, up about 4.69% or around $7.90. The options were pricing in the potential for this stock to move either up or down, $7.87, and it's up $7.90. And then finally taking a look at Cooper Companies. Cooper Companies, right now, I'm looking at it, it is down about 1.69% or around $2.84, trading at $37. When we looked at Cooper this afternoon, The options we're pricing in for the potential to move about $9 into this earnings announcement. It's moved a third of that. So we'll see if there is further impact for Cooper, but it is down right now about $2.84. All right, folks, that is it for today's The Closing Bell. I want to thank everybody for jumping aboard with us and looking at the markets from this perspective. I'm telling you right now, there is not a financial media out there that is talking the way we are about the markets, giving you this transparency, this clarity about not only what's happened in the markets, but we're going to give you some forecasts, some ideas of where these markets could be going so that you have some context. So we'll look forward to seeing you on tomorrow morning, 8:30 Eastern Time. We're going to kick the day off with the overnight action report. Join us then. Otherwise, go check out all of the recordings on MarketStream.live. That's MarketStream.live. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you tomorrow.